So we're gonna look at another portfolio here. This one currently has 111 units, slightly more than the other portfolio. This one belongs to a guy named Joe D. Joe started back in 2008 with a 6-unit building. He purchased it for $330,000 and put down 20%, so 66 grand, and took out a mortgage for 264,000. This is, I want to say, four times, 1/4 the size of the initial down payment for the other portfolio from Mark K. So Joe D actually has more units than that other portfolio, and he started with only 1/4 of the money. That's pretty impressive. So let's look at this. This 6-unit that he bought, so for $330,000, and the address is 53 Arlington Street in Lynn. So he bought it for that. That's a deed. This is the Google Street View image. It's a 6-unit. This is the tax card. It shows that he has 6 units there. He still owns it since 2008. This is how he got started. The other portfolio, Mark K's portfolio, he started with 3 6-unit buildings, so 18 units. Joe started only with one 6-unit building. And this is me driving by the property earlier today. And here's the mortgage for $264,000, and that's where we get this data from. So using the same heuristic from the other portfolio, from the other analysis, we're assuming $1,200 a month on average monthly rents per unit. So with 6 units, we're estimating 86 grand a year in gross rents. These are gross. So that was 2008. 2009 he didn't do much, and then 2010 he buys another 6-unit, Congress Street. This other 6-unit, he paid slightly more, $345,000, and he took out a mortgage for $262,000, so about the same amount, except that he put 80 grand down. So this brings him up to 12 units. So Congress Street, here's the deed. Purchased for $345,000. That's the address. And this is the mortgage. Joe seems to use a lot this bank a lot. So these go up. So in 2010 he buys 39 Congress Street for $345,000, but takes out a loan for $262,000. And this property looks like this. It's a beautiful 6-unit. It no longer looks like that. This property actually he ends up selling way back, way later. But this is a property card. This is recent. This is what it looks like under new ownership. Shows that it's 6-unit. And I actually drove there by today as well, just to see what it looked like. Those beautiful 6 gas meters. So, unlike the other portfolio where Mark buys 18 units and just gets to work on them, this guy Joe, he's going little by little, 6-unit by 6-unit, which I think is very interesting. Basically, it starts with less upfront cost capital. So, but Joe doesn't stop there. he actually also refinances his existing 6-unit in Arlington Street. So we look at that. It's here. This is one thing that I noticed about Joe. Joe refinances a lot. And he uses this bank a lot. He refinances like every other year, every year basically. And so this is 53 Arlington, the very first 6-unit, and now he gets a mortgage for $310,000. It's an adjustable rate, so good for him. Interest rates are coming down, so but he gets a mortgage for $310,000. So this is pretty interesting because 2010 in September he's able to get the mortgage for 310, whereas just 2 years earlier, when he bought the property, his mortgage was only 260. So the property has clearly appraised some money there. How much, I don't know, but clearly he's able to take out some cash there. Then in 2011 he refinances for the first time the second 6-unit that he bought. So he's going to refinance in August. He's going to refinance Congress Street, and again the same bank, 39 Congress Street, and now he takes out a mortgage for $350,000. So just compare those $350,000 mortgage to the original mortgage for $260,000. So properties are appraising in value, and he doesn't do much between 2012 and 2013, but then in 2014 he goes back to the same bank, and both properties he refinances them again. And so here's the one for 53 Arlington Street. This time he takes a mortgage for $450,000, and this new one here, it's 39 Congress Street, it's for $450,000 as well. So even though prices, the mortgage value is going up here, I don't believe he maxed out the cash that he took out here. I do believe he left some significant equity here, and the reason is because of what happens next. Before we get there, he actually buys another property, and so let's just look at how he refinanced, and he got a mortgage for $450,000 for Congress, and Arlington also for $450,000. He definitely paid the old note. So these mortgages, they're about $100,000 more than the previous ones. So just there he has an additional $200,000. And if he saved up anything from the rents here, then we can see how he can have $375,000 in cash to buy Hamilton Street. And Hamilton Street is this beautiful 18-unit building. So this is his third building. He buys this 18-unit building. It's the first building that has like 3 times the amount of units that he's used to. He has the 6-unit on Arlington Street. He has the other 6-unit on Congress Street, and now boom, 18 units on Hamilton Ave. So he pays $1.5 million for that one, just here. Here's the deed for Hamilton Ave, and the mortgage is for 1.12 for 25 Hamilton Ave. So 1.12, so that leaves him with a down payment 25%. So we can see here how he basically came up with a down payment, a combination of refinancing and probably saving up the rents. And then this is a big jump here, 2015, just like the other portfolio. He goes back to the bank and he refinances Congress Street. and he takes out a lot of money in 2015. So basically the old mortgage that he had gotten for 450, now it's almost 4 times, 1.6 million. This is why I believe this 450 number here, he really didn't take out everything that he could. He most likely left a significant chunk there. He probably could have taken like 800 or something, I don't know. But because prices didn't triple or quadruple overnight between 2014 and 2015 in Lynn, they kept going up, but not by that much. So anyway, so he takes out a mortgage for 1.6 million in 2015 for Congress Street, in April actually, and it's an adjustable note, 1.6 million, and so he takes that, and now he has money. So we move forward, and then we see that he purchases a new building, 77 Green Street. 77 Green Street is a 27 unit building. He purchases it for 2.1 million, takes out a loan for 1.6, and has to put down 400 grand in cash. But that's not a problem because he just refinanced Congress Street, so he clearly has that cash there. So Green Street in 2015 is this beautiful building over here. This is actually the same Green Street with the 30 unit building from the other portfolio from Mark K. It's actually pretty close. You probably walk by like 2-minute walk or something between both buildings. And so that's the street view image. This is the tax card, shows it's 27 units, and of course I had to drive that there, so I went there. And we have the deed here for 2.1 million, and the mortgage for 1.16. Yep. So subtract those numbers, and boom, $400,000 down payment. So we can see here a pattern that we see in the other portfolio, which is refinancing one property and boom, buying another one, maybe even a couple. And it looks like, for the most part, the money could have come from the refinancing and the rents alone, without the need for any external additional infusion. Of course 2015 is not over yet, and he goes and refinances again Hamilton Street, the 18 unit building he purchased just a year before, and this time he takes a mortgage for 3 million. So notice how the original mortgage had been there for 1.1. So now the new mortgage is for 3. So even though he has to pay off the old debt, he's gonna be in a good position here, like 1.5 million cash or so, something like that, or more. And of course by this point he's already up to 57 units. He owns 4 buildings, the 2 6 units, the 18 unit, and then the 27 unit, and based on our estimate that average rents per unit are about $1,200 a month. We multiply that times 57 and we get this number. This is gross rents. So he refinances Hamilton Street, actually it's Hamilton Ave, and puts a mortgage there for 3 million. 2015, October 22nd, 2015. So then 2016 comes, and again this guy goes back to refinancing the building he just purchased, 77 Green Street, and here's the mortgage. Again, Greystone. We see this this lender a lot in the other portfolio from Mark K. And he gets a mortgage for 2.3 million. So just notice here how the mortgage is for 2.3 million, and just a year ago, the year before, the mortgage had been for 1.6. So clearly the property is going up in value, and this guy is just refinancing like crazy every year. Same lender, same properties, just every year. And so he, if we take the difference from this 2.3 million and the 1.6, what we're left with, like what, 600k, 500 something. Well, that's exactly what he puts down cash as down payment for the next property, which is Warren Street. So Warren Street is this beautiful 21 unit building that he purchases in 2016. This is a tax card, shows he has 21 units. And here's the deed, purchased for 2.6 million. And here's the mortgage. The mortgage is 2.1, so 2.6 minus 2.1, there's like a 500k difference there. And that's exactly what he puts down. So again, it looks like it's coming from the refi of the previous properties. And of course I had to drive by there. It's a big building. Love it. And so of course this new building has 21 units, so now he's at 78 units. And boom, he made it over 1 million in gross rents per year. 2017 he remains a little bit quiet. 2018 he refinances this new building, this very same building he just bought, and this time it appraises for 2.3 instead of 2.1, so almost 200 grand he's able to pull out over there. And he also refinances, wait, let me not get ahead of myself. Here's the refinancing, so he's putting a new loan on Warren Street for 2.3, and then this is the refinancing for Hamilton Street, where he's putting a new loan now for 3.7. So here, so let's compare this. So this mortgage here for Warren versus the original Warren mortgage. So there's like 200k difference there, almost. And then this new mortgage for Hamilton versus the old one, there's like 700 grand more. So 700 plus 200. Probably is able to pull out what, 800 or 900 out of there. It's quite some firepower there. So so that's 2018, and yeah, boom, here we go, Franklin Street. So he goes off and buys a new building. So this new building is this beautiful brick building here next to a school. And this is a tax card. It's 24 unit building, and of course I had to drive. Your destination is on the right. Of course I had to drive by there. And so he buys it. Here's the deed. I didn't highlight in red the purchase price, but it's over here, 3.5. So 3.5. Puts on and takes a mortgage for 2.8. I have the mortgage here, 2.8. Still with, same with Greystone. And so the 500 grand cash down. Greystone, they seem to have good rates there. Probably has a good relationship to be able to put less than 20% down. And something happens afterwards, which I don't know why. I don't understand it, but I barely see this. He basically sells the second property that he bought in 2010. So Congress Street, the 6th unit, he basically sells it. And so instead of being at 102 units, now he's at 96 units, which isn't a big deal, because then he goes off and he refinances Green Street for the second time. So let me see if I find that document. Yeah. So in 2019, he refinances Green Street and puts a mortgage for 3.4 million. And again, let's compare. This new mortgage is for 3.4 million, and the previous one was for 2.3. As you can probably notice here, each building I've assigned a color to each building. The color green is for purchases or refinances of the 27 unit building at Green Street. The purple ones are for Congress Street, and the gray ones are for Arlington, and Warren Street is yellow and Franklin is pink. So yeah, so he refinances Green Street, and right now he probably has some cash. And so between this $3.4 million mortgage and these 2.3, I mean, there's more than $1 million difference. So, and fair enough, later that year, which was last year, in March, he buys this 15-unit building. And this 15-unit building, he bought it for $4 million, and the mortgage was for $3 million, and of course he has $1 million in cash sitting there in the bank. So now he's at 111 units, and here's the deed for $4 million, and here's the mortgage for $3 million. So 4 minus 3 is 1. Here's the tax card showing it's 15 unit. And of course I have to drive to there. It's actually the building on the left, not the one on the right. It's this one. And boom, there it is. So 111 units. Pretty impressive. 11, 12 years. He basically accomplished that in 1 year less than the other portfolio from RK, and started with less. He started with only one 6-unit building, and that he got with a smaller down payment, like 1/4 the size, the amount. So this portfolio is really impressive. But I see a lot of like refinancing very often, some overlap between the lenders. Yeah, very cool.